This is a first for my channel, and maybe a last. I actually finished Semispheres. First up, here's a good example of a good trailer. Sure, there aren't clickable links on the screen, but that's the only thing it didn't do. It gave the tone of the game, it introduced the main mechanic, it had some gameplay, and it told you where you can get the game. Short, sweet, to the point, and striking enough to hook players. Excellent work. That tone and attention to detail goes through the entire game. The aesthetic is minimal, functional, and doesn't distract, or retract from the game. The sound design is sparse, and it could probably be done with a couple, not more, but slightly better sound effects. But what it has is good enough. The controls are simple: WASD, the arrow keys, the control button that's right next to the arrow keys, and the spacebar. You don't have to move your hand 1 centimeter away from the controls at any point. Semispheres does tutorials right. It introduces a new mechanic, and it gives you a relatively safe space to experiment with the mechanic so that you can get used to it and use it to solve new and interesting puzzles. It also handles difficulty fairly well. Early on, the puzzles are simple, just getting you used to the mechanics. But then, when the game ramps up, you really feel the difficulty without it being too frustrating. Though to be fair, a few levels made me a little bit mad, but more at myself than at the game. Because once you figure out what to do, all you have to do is do it, and you always know what you did wrong. Remember those controls? You have to control both spheres at the same time, moving in synchronized but different directions. The synchronized shit is hard, but it is doable, and the challenge makes the game feel better overall, though the game probably lost a few players when it got that hard. I don't feel that the difficulty should be dropped down, though, because the game has a very good difficulty curve that should bring people back again if they put it down. The length of the game is also quite good. You can beat it in an hour or two, and in a single sitting. Going through the 14 levels, at least I think it's 14. One quibble I have, though, is that the game only has one save state based on how far you've gotten so far. No multiple saves, and once you complete the game, it restarts, so that's no revisiting old levels for you. In fact, at no point during the game can you revisit any of the older levels. You can only go forward one level at a time. This difficulty hit me particularly because I finished the game off camera and I thought I might just replay a few of the later levels for the review, but I couldn't, so you guys get to watch me zoom through the early levels instead. It's not a big thing, but I would have appreciated it. The final point I'd like to make is that the story is pretty straightforward and is revealed in little comics as you go on. It's nice, but it doesn't really add anything to the game. Not even really context. It sort of tells you you've been doing, but really, either way, it's a neat little story, I guess, and it doesn't detract from the game. Semispheres is a good game. It rises just above the average game by giving the player just enough of everything from art to mechanics to difficulty, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. This is an example of a game being focused and being tight and doing one thing very well, and how doing that one thing very well will make your game better than the games that try to be everything and a bag of potato chips. This has been a very short one, but it's a very simple game that you should go play. This has been Earth.Otherwise, and this is Semispheres.